Would you live somewhere if the central mission of the state is to make death optional? While I often on this channel talk about the scientists who are working on finding genes, molecules, and mechanisms that underpin the aging process, and yes, being a scientist, I know how important that is, there is also much that goes on behind the scenes that I never get to talk about, as I only tend to talk about the latest findings. Now, earlier this year, I experienced this firsthand when I attended Suzalu, an experimental co-living project that brought together people with backgrounds in crypto, AI safety, network states, decentralized science, and longevity. I attended to help educate on the longevity side. While I attended for just over a week, many more stayed for 1 to 2 months, the idea being that this duration and number of people falls at a sweet spot. As Vitalik Buterin writes in his blog post, a 4-day conference is a break from your life, but a 2-month stay is your life. And for at least some people, it turned out that the small but highly focused network effect of a few hundred people who care about the precise thing you care about really can substitute the massive but much more unfocused network effects of the global megacities. So Suzalu was an example of what can be referred to as network states. Network states are a relatively new concept and have yet to be established on a large scale, but they offer the potential for individuals to come together and form communities based on shared interests and values without being limited by geographical boundaries. The concept of network states was first proposed by Balaji Srinivasan, an entrepreneur and investor in the technology industry. Now, the next step up is Vitalia. Vitalia is a movement to start a longevity network state, built around the idea that life is good, death is bad. The movement aims to create a new kind of society that is focused on extending human lifespan and improving the quality of life for everyone. So that's what it is, but why exactly do we need it? And what really happens at these pop-up cities? Well, Vitalia is pitched as a city that builds longevity companies and develops longevity therapeutics. But having spoken to the 2 co-founders, Laurent Iron, who is also a founding steward of VitaDAO and co-organised Suzalu with Vitalik, as well as speaking with Nicholas Ansinger, founder of Infinita VC and an influencer of network states. Here is what they envision for Vitalia.
Vitalia between January 6th and March 1st on the Caribbean island of Roatan, where we have a more aligned society that is really prioritizing this mission of making death optional, and is excited to create this sandbox where we're trying a better regulatory framework, where not only we have healthy co-living and co-working collaboration, but we also have, I've seen 3 initiatives already for clinical trials that will be run during these 2 months by the people that are there. We'll have entrepreneurs, artists, scientists, innovators. We really filter for builders.
So why exactly are they focusing on longevity?
How can you solve for the problems that the FDA is creating? Right, the timelines that drugs take 10 years to go to market and cost hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars. What is the entrepreneurial project that you can do to overcome this? I didn't have an answer until I found out about Prospera and about charter cities and about sort of the possibility to do special economic zones that have different legal rules, right? So I've started a VC fund based in Prospera because there was already innovation going on in this specific zone, a zone that's located in Roatan, Honduras, and has, in my opinion, the most advanced legal system in the world that allows for innovation in a whole lot of sectors and technology. So I went out there aiming at starting a VC fund, aiming to attract startups that can gain advantages from that. And my hint was startups that were already there, right? So there was already a construction tech startup there, a drone startup. So you can do things in the physical world that are otherwise not possible. There was already a bank there, and there was already a crypto community here. So again, crypto is something that's very overregulated, which is what these zones could be an advantage for. But the one thing that really clicked was longevity and biotech. So there's a company here called MiniCircle that developed photostatin gene therapy and did stage 1 clinical trials here on the island with a very reputed American doctor, perfectly interoperable with other jurisdictions. And they did that for a much lower cost and with the possibility to do medical tourism. So I went out to the world with that story, and it just seemed to resonate extremely well with Lawrence and with the design longevity community. So as soon as Lawrence invited me and we started doing meetings together, we had like hundreds of people pop up, right? So this is kind of where I saw the strongest market fit and need. And in the process, I also learned about longevity and how important it is. Like, hey, if we pull this off, what we've been finding in science and technology, what could be possible, this is the most important mission in the world, to make death optional. So that's how I got really excited, and that's how I got to start this company together with Lawrence.
But who can actually come to Vitalia?
Initially, we want to optimize for trust and for ensuring that we have the right kind of community. And this is first and foremost that we select for very ethical people, right? So people who can like think for themselves and who do the right thing when nobody's looking. We're looking for people that are generally helpful to each other. They don't expect like resort tourism or whatever, right? If they see a problem in the neighborhood, in the community, they fix it. We're also selecting for people that can build, right? So, and they don't just talk, right? So we're in the frontier tech space, and we need to do a lot of fundraising and a lot of shilling, but we try to select for people that can also then just build things in the real world. So we have this very clear profile, and then we have values around sort of, self-responsibility, a very strong informed consent, right? So in giving each other space and valuing each other's independence. So this is kind of the profile we select for. And then, you should have a background in one of the things we care about, right? So you don't, so longevity and biotech, both from the science and from the business side, is highly valued. To come here, same for crypto and DeSci, right? Also healthcare professionals, right? So we also need to deliver these treatments into the human body. So we're encouraging innovative healthcare professionals to join as well. But there's other frontier technologies like legal engineering, for example, or if you have a background in media and in content or in philosophy, which you see as highly aligned with what we're doing, we encourage people with a broad skill set and high alignment to come to Vitalia. And also, we are able to give financial assistance. So we want to make it affordable also for students or young or recent graduates or early stage entrepreneurs or people from lesser developed countries with lower income to come, right? So we will make this possible to come based on background if we see a fit with the values of the community and ability to contribute to this endeavor, right? So similar to the Manhattan Project, the Manhattan Project also selected, people who were capable of contributing to that mission. So this is also what Vitalia will select for.
But Vitalia has much bigger plans than just the event being planned to start next year.
So Vitalia is really just the beginning to what we want to build, which will be a network society with hubs in 3 to 5 different locations, right? So Prospera we see as the best candidate for the first one, but we're gonna be community driven, right? So we haven't decided that this is where we build the first district. We're inviting the community to see it for themselves, to experiment, to play, and to work together, right? So that's what Vitalia is set up for, right? So we want to provide, we want to bring this community together. We're helping and putting together housing, we're curating the space, and we're curating a schedule and agenda that's kind of basic and that others can build on top of, right? So we'll do education and events around longevity, AI, crypto, all the frontier technologies. We need to pull this off.
If there's a will, there's a way, right? And if the will of the people says that COVID is a crisis and we need to move at warp speed, we do it, right? We made the COVID vaccines in up to 8 months. We could have done it in 4. And we, as a community, not everyone agrees that aging is a crisis, but some people can coordinate in one place and say, look, this is the most important endeavor, and we should move at warp speed. And who are they outside to tell us what we can and cannot do with our own bodies, right? We can set our own rules and regulations in this location, at least, or this network of locations, or at least in some of those locations, right, where we can speed up innovation and drug development, especially for longevity, especially because it's not considered a disease and there isn't an easy pathway through the regulatory process.
If you are interested in learning more, then Vitalia has a website with more information.
I want to give people that experience of we're really building a city or a district together.